The Redeemer has risen.
Hey, what's up guys, Massive here, coming to do another video, and today I'm doing a series between Green Zero and Thanatos. And before we begin, I just want to say, I know I haven't been posting videos, I have been absent the last month, though I did try my best to get a video out for you guys, but the state of the things have been so bad in Kane's Wrath, I just haven't had an opportunity to get games versus anyone good. In particular, Bike Rush is absent right now, but I feel that this will all change because there's going to be a tournament, or I'm hearing there will be a tournament hosted in November this year, which will have a sizable cash sum. So if you're interested in participating in a large tournament at the end of this year, then get online and play some games, because that's one way how we're going to increase the activity, or hope to do so. So yeah, with all that said guys, we're going to get on into this best of 7 grand final, which is between, as I said before, Green Zero and Thanatos. Looks like both of these guys have picked GDI in the first game. Surprised to see Dimitery go with GDI, but I guess because of Black Hand's dominance in 1v1 tournaments being diminished somewhat, mostly due to Travel 59 and the Prodigy. I guess people now feel that it's a little less insecure going for Black Hand, as it was actually pretty good in the past. It was pretty risk-free to do so, but as you can see, both guys are GDI. We have Thanatos here, who is going to be orange, and Green Zero once again as the green GDI. Green Zero, don't see him online very often. He says he has to work a lot nowadays, and it looks like he's just forgotten to capture a spike, though I guess not, because yeah, you have to place your refinery down before you can capture a spike in this game, otherwise you won't get the $500 bonus. Though if you're opening up with Orcas or a secret shrine or something that uses a lot of credits early on in the game and you're without a refinery, you can still get that $500, assuming that you have 3,000 credits or less in your stashed up. So yeah guys, I'm a bit rusty when it comes to commentary, but give me some time while I get accustomed to things. I also shouldn't scroll too much. I do have a new mouse, by the way. Ever since I've been using this new mouse, I haven't really lost many games. It was actually 1 week before I played Bike Rush in that tournament that I switched mice. I went from the G502, which is from Logitech, to the Model O, which is an FPS oriented mouse, though it is pretty good for RTS and MOBA as well. It's a very light mouse, it's about 60 odd grams. It's one of those honeycomb mice, and it did make a massive difference to my gameplay. I can micro a lot better, and you know, compared to 128 grams, it's just a world of difference. And Dimi's not gonna like me here saying this, because he wants this to remain a secret forever, like light mice being much superior to heavy mice. But yeah, I haven't been commentating much on this game because both guys have been pretty much ecoing in this game, as you can see. 5 and 2 for Dimitery, likewise for Green Zero, though he is going to send his 5th harvester to the blue Tiberium field. Dimi will have eyes on that. He's going to go for harvesters here. Yeah, Dimi, he does have a habit of going for eco a lot, so maybe Green Zero can exploit that. And these guys haven't really seen each other or met each other in a final, or actually at all in games in general, since 2016, so a lot of bitterness between these guys, Green Zero and Dimitery. Of course, Green Zero did talk a lot of trash to Dimitery over the years, and since then those guys haven't really played one another. But they're going to be forced to here in this best of 7 grand final. There is $30 up for the winner in this game. I think the second place doesn't receive anything in this tournament. We do have a small cash prize for these command post tournaments, which are held monthly. Nothing serious, but it is motivational nonetheless. I mean, $30 is not too shabby. So yeah, we're going to have 5 pitbulls here for Green Zero. What is Dimi doing? He's at base with his pitbulls. He's on 7 or so. Going to have his second war factory up before his refinery. Dimi typically goes for 4 refineries when I play versus him before going for the second war factory, but yeah, Green Zero, he's going to be surprised to see that there is quite a sizable sum of pits here. Typically, you don't want to go for mass or splitting off a Pipple there for Green Zero. That's a really good move. A lot of the times players don't really pick up on that, but he's going to split this off. Doesn't look like Dimi's too intent on stopping that. He's going to see any transition coming his way. Green Zero will be on to it. He's continuing to spam pits still. I would have personally gone into Predator tanks and infantry at this point, seeing how my opponent has really overspent on these pit bulls, but neither side has really got a transition in mind. That pit bull going to get cleaned up there, but yeah, he can see the war factory. He can still see pit bulls coming from there, so he knows what's up right now. If I were him, I'd just go for infantry now rather than commit to this mass pit bull spam. There are better counters to pit bulls than just pit bulls alone. Infantry, for instance, very, very powerful versus it. Especially, even so, when your opponent is going for mortar upgrade. I mean, mortars are somewhat of a soft counter to infantry, I'd say. I wouldn't rely heavily on it if you're going mass pit bull and you see mass infantry. I just wouldn't do that if I were you. But yeah, Green Zero, he has other ideas, and he is someone who has a habit of spamming pit bulls, much like the King. That's right, the K in G of Kane's Wrath. And if you didn't know who that was, then that is going to be up for debate. So yeah, this is going to be Green Zero here. He's going to be spamming Pitbull still. I don't know why he's making mass Pitbull, man. I really don't. I have no clue. He's on 4 harvesters on his expansion. You're going to transfer another one to there right now. There's 8 or so harvesters for Green Zero. May want to pop one more out. The reason why in high level games we make more than 8 harvesters nowadays is because when you establish a third refinery, or sorry, a third base, you can transfer those excess harvesters to this field and have 3 bases saturated, or probably 2 bases saturated, because this field would be depleted by then. So it just makes your eco much more streamlined and allows you to continue spamming from more than 2 production structures at a time. And Green Zero trying to sneak in an APC engineer, I assume that's what it was. And finally we have a transition from Dimitery. He's going to go into Hammerheads right now. He's going to load those up with rocket squads, very powerful. I don't think that Green Zero has eyes on this. They will have now with the Foxhole. He's Q moving all of his pit bulls to the expansion. Fortunately, there's no tib vein for GDI, so I mean, imagine tib veining this army here. That'd be pretty sick. But not to be. Green Zero going to lose a harvester, and Dimi gonna escape there without losing any hammerheads. So yeah, the hammerheads forcing out a response. Not something I would have personally made, considering how there's nothing but mass pitbull on the field, which, you know, if you read their unit description, it says it's strong versus aircraft, which indeed they are. Though hammerheads are pretty lethal with that AP ammo upgrade. So if you want to, I mean, pitbulls are good versus air, but versus hammerheads in particular, I'd say not so much. But yeah, you still probably wouldn't have, there's better options than hammerheads versus these, obviously. Mortars complete now for Green Zero, and this is what I mentioned in the start. Green Zero has a habit of going for mortars, and we do have the option to enable long-range mortars. Once upon a time, before 1.02 plus, mortars had more range than the missile of the pitbull, so the missiles were never in range when everybody just engaged with the A move. But yeah, we decided to change that, and now you can enable long-range mortar if you want that back, or if you just want the mortar and the missile to fire in tandem, then you can just leave it as is. I think maybe this would be better versus infantry. I have yet to test that. I was thinking of that today, actually. I was thinking of ways how I was actually thinking of how good pitbulls are versus infantry, because it's been a while since I've paid attention to that long range upgrade. So yeah, nothing but mass pitbulls from either side. Juggernauts getting some nice splash damage dealt on these pitbulls there, and he's making Juggernauts. Not sure why. I mean, there's nothing really on the field to force or prompt a response from Juggernauts. I guess there is a Marv out right now. I guess he started training those as soon as the Marv came out. Green Zero has no expansion right now. Looks like he lost his MCV too. Something I missed on the radar. Oh, actually, no. He's actually moved his MCV this way. I'm guessing he lost it. And he's now built another one. But Dimi doesn't have a refinery up on his expansion. So both sides are actually in a similar spot right now. Hammerhead's gonna do some damage here. That mortar upgrade is going to be actually doing some damage to his own pitbulls. He's moving in here with the pitbulls, but yeah, he doesn't have enough. He's gonna get cleaned up here. The Juggernauts, they can tank that damage. And Green Zero, he's losing far too much here. Where's the Marv? The Marv is not up here, denying the expansion of Dimi. Instead, it's moving to the bottom. There's not much infrastructure down here. Maybe it would have made more sense if the tech center was situated there. But yeah, Dimi's placed it at his third base. Pretty wise, I'd say. Green Zero, he's going to get cleaned up here. He's going to get sandwiched in between the Preds and the Pits. They're going to go down. He's going to get a refinery down on his expansion. Are those Green Zeros Hammerheads? No, it looks like they are Dimis. There's not much anti-air here. He does have tungsten though, Green Zeros, so the effectiveness of those Hammerheads are going to be pretty reduced now, but he has found the jugs. There's no anti-air. He just suicided his pitbulls, and now Dimi is free to roam into Green Zero's first base, and there's nothing here really to stop them. He has a sonic emitter or the option to go for them, but yeah, I just feel that it's too much here to hold that back. I feel that that raid in Dimi's base didn't really do much. He lost most of his army. He should have transitioned long ago from pitbulls. That was really the mistake that he made. If you make too many pitbulls, they kind of become useless there, as you saw. They don't really achieve much. I'd like to go for 10 or so before transitioning into Predator tanks. But yeah, Green Zero, he has a very unique playstyle. One that is reminiscent with Unleashed, obviously. So he's going to scare those away, those pitbulls. I thought he would have just cleaned that up. I mean, with proper split micro, you can avoid sonic shots. And the Marv here, he did lose a Juggernaut, though Dimi didn't pay attention, so he's not going to kill that husk. Green Zero probably could throw a barracks down and get that husk, but yeah. Predator tank's moving in. He is GDI, so he can get railguns. He's going for it now. He's a long way off from that. Juggernauts on the field. He could probably get sniper teams and use the long range bombard, maybe take out some of these key structures of Green Zero. He doesn't have a command post. In fact, yeah, he does, so he can laser fence. But yeah, nevertheless, getting a sniper team on the field, not only for scouting information, but also to destroy these structures here, like the War Factory, would definitely damage Green Zero. Green Zero raiding the back of Dimi's base, and Dimi, there's no anti-air here. In fact, yeah, there is. Putting some rockets in that Marv would have been a pretty sweet move, though. You rarely see it. It's only Steel Talons that put rockets in their Marv because there's no better option. Though you can put 4 engineers in the Steel Talons Marv. That is also one of the other Marvs that you see from them. And I did use rocket squads in my Redeemer versus Green Zero once, and that did really well because his hammerheads stacked up and rockets do pretty good splash damage versus aircraft. And oh my god, that is one thing you have to be careful of when you have Juggernauts, that they don't actually shoot down your own buildings, because they do inflict friendly fire. There's a lot of units that don't, but Juggernauts definitely are one of those units you need to be careful of. Devastator warships as well. If you send a bike in to your opponent's base and there's Devastators there, you can force it around the key structures, and the Devastator warships, if the Scrim player's not looking, will probably most likely kill their own base. Just because those bikes move so fast, you won't lose that bike. But yeah, Green Zero, he's kind of in the dark. He's going for another airfield. Probably going to go for Firehawks, I'd imagine, right now. He doesn't have air superiority. He knows the hammerheads are still a threat here. The Predator tanks have... Oh my god, I'm not sure how this is going to go. I mean, if Green Zero has scouted this, he can get some first shots off on those Pred tanks with the jugs. But yeah, he's not going to scout at the moment. He's probably going to not bother with that. Oh, there is a number of Juggernauts there, man. I wouldn't engage that. He's going to lose all his Predator tanks here. Green Zero, if he moves those back, he's going to be just fine. But yeah, Dimi, he's going for his own Marv. He's going for Marv tanks as well. He's got a few Juggernauts, though. In Jug v Jug wars, I think you just have to split your jugs more than the opponent. And it wouldn't be a bad idea making some preemptive engineers as well, just for retaking those husks, which are inevitably going to be popping up. But Dimi looks like he's going to make a final attack here. He's preparing himself for a major engagement. But yeah, Green Zero, I thought he would have gone for the hammerheads, but perhaps not. Dimi does have tier 4, I think, so expect to see a supersonic airstrike on these right now. Green Zero has to be careful. Dimi, he will be looking at these hammerheads here, trying to get the perfect supersonic airstrike. The Mav tanks can deal with those quite nicely with the 4 rockets they do have on them. Pitbull's ravaging the back of Green Zero's base, all of his techs here, so yeah, he's in a lot of trouble. Maybe he could send the hammerheads in and deal with those. But yeah, slingshots on the field. Oh, the Marv has been caught by surprise. Green Zero not looking. He's going to lose this Marv straight out in the open. So that's not a good start to this engagement here for Green Zero. He's going to lose the Marv, and with it the game. I think his Juggernaut is completely out of position. But not that it really mattered, because Dimi does have a much superior army, and he was able to snowball from that engagement that he had earlier on with the Pitbulls. Green Zero lost too many in this game. Not only that, but I feel that he should have transitioned a lot sooner from Pitbulls. I felt that he made a little too many there. Slingshots out in the field, upgraded with tungsten, so yeah, hammerhead's no longer going to be a threat. He doesn't have... He also has the supersonic airstrike as well, so I'm not sure why Green Zero decided to go for hammerheads in this point in time. It is a bit risky going for hammerheads. He should have just gone for a mass predator tank, or even Firehawks would have been better. Take out the infrastructure, take out the tier 4, so the shockwave wouldn't have been a thing. You know, all these things could have made a difference. But hammerheads, I don't think they were the right call. He does have ample NTA here, Dimi, so he's going to be quite fine versus those. The Pitbulls look like they are going to get focused down here, and oh my god, they're going to get torn to shreds by all this AP ammo. But yeah, Dimi, he's holding off from engaging. I guess he feels that Green Zero has just too many Juggernauts to engage right now. If he just uses shockwave artillery, so yeah, it's going to be a bit risky still. He does have a lot of mammoth tanks here, but yeah, it's going to be awkward this. It's all going to come down to whether or not Green Zero gets some shots off here like he's doing right now. If he kills 2 mammoth tanks out in the open, then of course he's going to be doing just fine. Supersonic airstrike comes down. Looks like Green Zero has lost all of his hammerheads, so that's unfortunate. Dimi still has a few of his. He didn't move his MCV to this field. I would have done that personally. His MCV staying put here. And yeah, that's definitely something separating a player like Dimi from someone like Bike Rush or Technique. He didn't expand to that field. He isn't ensuring that he has this game wrapped up. He's here, he has an army, but that can change because Green Zero, look how many Juggernauts he has. He can still beat that army. So he needs to secure all the assets on the map. He has a rig here, I guess, for the repairs on the Marv. He's going to retake these Juggernaut husks, so Green Zero not calling in the Orca Strike to deal with those. I guess he was a bit preoccupied elsewhere. He's going to send some harvesters back to this field. He's dry out of Tiberium on this field. He's probably going to try and get a Marv out, though. It looks like he's lost his AMCV. Maybe he lost it trying to expand to this field. Dimi getting some eco established again on this field. He's let his field regrow. And look, Green Zero has expanded this field, so this game is not over yet. Dimi, I feel he's just a bit too passive here. If Green Zero's allowed that tip, then who knows, maybe he can make a comeback, but it's looking quite unlikely at the moment. Green Zero has pits. He's rolling into the back of the base. He's going to take out a harvester, but yeah, the key structures to focus on here is the space command uplink and these upgraded power plants. But yeah, he's not microing. He's focused instead on this fight. And the shockwave artillery has just been used, so yeah, that's really all that Dimi needs to secure a nice engagement in this fight. And yeah, that was really over before it started, and that shockwave artillery, man, is pivotal for winning major engagements as GDI. And yeah, case in point, Green Zero, he didn't really stand a chance there, and he fought on though, to his credit, but ultimately I think Thanatos, aka Dimi, he just bled him dry. And Green Zero, he did have an MCV on that top side of the map, but unfortunately he didn't have enough time to get a refinery down. Not only that, but he would have drawn suspicion, all the harvesters going to that field. I'm sure Dimi, who was on point there, would have noticed and probably taken out that expo. But yeah, guys, that's game number 1. We're going to go into game number 2. Right now, Dimi leads by 1-0. Alright guys, game number 2, which brings us on to Tournament Galaxy. And it looks like Green Zero has picked this map because, of course, it is loser picks in the tournament scene. So, yep, he's going to be down here playing as Green GDI. No surprises there. And up in the top right, we can see Dimi, who has gone for Black Hand, which on this map surprises me because it's somewhat of a campy map. And Black Hand, not really the best for camping because, well, they don't have stealth for one. They don't have stealth tanks. And really, their Spectres are not stealthed. So that's kind of a big deal when you're on a map which, you know, you need as much finesse as like raw spam and units. So GDI, I mean, Black Cannon missing a lot of the upgrades and abilities that Nod needs to really beat GDI on a map like this. I think they do have the one clicks, they do have bike buggy still, they retain a lot of the upgrades and units, but unfortunately missing Vertigo Bombers and the ability to stealth the Redeemer is a big deal in my opinion. And he's going to go for a Pitbull here first. Green Zero knows he's up against Black Hand. Out of all the matchups, Green Zero is probably most experienced in this particular one. He's been up against Black Hand many a time. And Dimi, he's trying to anti-scout rifles here. He's not going to do it though with a Cabal squad. He can try, but yeah, he's going to get some damage on this. If Green Zero is smart, he'll use the reverse move just so he doesn't take rear armor while he passes through those units. And he's going to see that Dimi's going for eco here, so he's going to be fine to just eco up himself. He's just going to be fine and dandy here. He's going to go for another power plant. Green Zero or GDI, the GDI power plants do output more power than the Nod ones, so it makes sense to expand on 2. Whereas with Nod, it makes sense to expand on 1 and just power down one of your refineries because they don't really output as much. I think they have less health as well. Nod power plants are especially vulnerable when you upgrade them. So you have to be very wary when you're up against GDI and they ravage your base with hammerheads. You need to have a pretty good amount of power plants just in case that happens. But yeah, Green Zero is keeping this Pitbull alive, which is good. He's going to use that for future scouts. And Dimi, he's going to go for a second war factory here or a refinery. He's going to go instead for a refinery. On this map, 2 war factories is less effective because look at the expansion distance from your first field. It is literally nothing. So you're going to have your third refinery up on that field a lot sooner than you would on a map, for example, like Tournament Rift. So the sooner it takes to place a third refinery down, the less effective it is going to be to attack with 2 war factories because the timing is just not the same. He's going to have second war factory down by the time the push hits with 2 war factories, and he's going to have an extra ref compared to the GDI guy who would have went for 2 war factories. So yeah, it's on this map, it's ideally not wise to go for 2 war factories before your third ref. The same is true on Dust Bowl. If you do that versus a pro-like bike, you're going to lose the game. But yeah, it looks like the blue tip has been cleaned up. And Dimi right now, he's going to go for infantry on this map. Infantry to hold back the Pitbulls, and then Bike Buggy would be good. Bike Buggy over Scorpion tanks definitely, because they counter air as well as Predator tanks if you decoy army them up. If you go for Bike Buggy from 2 war factories, decoy them, get Tib Core and EMP cores, you can pretty much handle anything GDI throws at you. Granted, the effectiveness of that will depend on your ability to micro. If you use EMP cores versus GDI armor, then yeah, it's going to be pretty sick, but that takes some serious control to pull off. But yeah, Green Zero, he's spamming Pitbulls, so yeah, infantry going to be the name of the game for Dimi. He's probably going to go for I'm not sure what this is. Maybe a tier 2. He's probably going to go for infantry though afterwards, seeing these mass pitbulls coming. I don't think he's aware of this. And Green Zero, if he's wise, he'd put his tier 2 if he's going to tech up here, and then he'd place his tier 3 here and crawl to his expansion, as the distance is not very far. And Green Zero going to exploit a gap in Dimi's base, though he is quite in position here. He's going to throw down the shredder turret just so it forces fire from those pitbulls, because that will force the pitbulls to waste shots on those shredder turrets. He's going for a tier 2 here. He can now decoy up his bike buggy, double the amount of targets there for Green Zero to waste his pitbull volleys on. But yeah, he's coming in here with the pitbulls. As he split up with 2 groups, yes, he's going to take out another harvester. So yeah, he's pulling Dimi out of position. He's going to find some infantry here. Dimi, he's not doing so well. There's an APC engineer up here. So yeah, Green Zero, he's in good position here. Charge particle beam is going to be done soon. He's probably going to get the tib core upgrade as well if he's continuing to spam out these bikes. Green Zero knows exactly what's going on. There's going to be a chemical plant coming as well, so he may want to get work started on another refinery. The problem with Dimi though is that he has forfeited map control, so he's not going to be able to get that one click off immediately. And Green Zero has to be very careful that he doesn't go into this tip field here, otherwise he will get one clicked, and that's what Dimi will be looking for here. And there's multiple locations where that could be pretty lethal. Green Zero, he knows that Dimi's on tier 3. There's almost certainly going to be a tier 4 out on the field. In fact, he could probably see that, so yeah, he has to avoid this tib field at all costs. In fact, I think Dimi can see that. He's not cancelling his refinery. He could have actually killed all those pits in the tib field. If I were him, I would just do that right now. Green Zero, he knows it's on the field. He's getting tib core. He's a long way off from that upgrade. If I were Green Zero, I'd push right now with all those pitbulls because they are unupgraded. He's moving in with the bike buggy, Green Zero. He's making hammerheads. He's got a couple pitbulls at home. Potentially enough to deal with Dimi. Dimi's probably quite content holding back the pits if they decided to ravage the base with those shredder turrets, because they are better now. Oh, nice move from Green Zero, selling off the chemical plant. And the problem with this move going for mass pitbulls now is that the moment tib core's online, one, those bike buggies are going to be very, very good versus them. Green Zero also doesn't know how to spread his pitbulls out. He doesn't use the line formation just to avoid the splash damage on his pits, because pits do have a huge tendency of clumping up and taking huge splash damage. And that's why pitbulls are very weak versus bike buggy, or they used to be, until Technique found out that, hey, look, the reason why you guys are losing your pitbulls is because you're not using line formation. They're just clumping up and taking huge splash damage. And let's see if Green Zero goes in this tip field here. Yeah, he knows exactly what's up. He's got it on the top of his mind. However, he is pretty bunched up here. He's going to get some pretty sick splash damage dealt on his pitbulls. There you go. Look, see 4 or 5 pitbulls going down in one volley. Yeah, that shouldn't happen. He's over here too. He's got hammerheads. Looks like he was thwarted though by a AA turret. Dimi gonna hold back that, and Green Zero, he needs to think of a transition right now. He can't continue to go for these pitbulls. He's up against tib core bikes, and there's nothing but tib core bikes being produced for Dimi, so not something I'd personally do. Just continue with the bike production. I would have gone for my epic unit by now and infantry, and kept the bike buggy alive then, because if you have infantry upgraded, you really don't need to commit a large force to defending these pitbulls off. So you can just, you know, leave a few infantry there and then counter attack with a huge swarm of bike buggy. And he needs to be careful that he's not losing too many pitbulls here, because he will be ranking up these bikes. Bikes do rank up quickly. He doesn't have any ranks on them though right now. Yeah, the pitbull force has been diminished somewhat. The hammerheads are coming in. Oh, it looks like he's been found here though. He's going to take out their bikes. No, not quite. And Dimi, he's just being held around the place. He does have an expansion up. Likewise for Green Zero. Both sides do retain their spikes, don't they? Yeah. And no one click yet for Dimitery, though. He did just sell his tib chemical plant, so not getting the dream tib vein off on the opponent's pitbull army. If it were bike rush, it would have definitely been GG, you know, seeing those pitbulls in the tib field. couple of those pitbulls on low HP there that Green Zero can get back to base. Force some repairs. He's expended a number of units now, so he may want to consider being a bit more cautious and, you know, not donate as many units as he has been. Bike Buggy in force, he's still continuing to make it. He's going through his Redeemer though, however. Green Zero, is he transitioning into Jugs now? Interesting, he's still continuing to go for the Pitbull spam. He's reverse moving here, so they will reveal the rear armor. That's unfortunate. And Dimi, he's just having a field day here with all these Pitbulls. He's not using the decoy army either. I mean, he could force fire the ground, clump all them up, and, you know, double the amount of targets that which I mentioned he could have done before. Hammerhead's trying to find a gap. But yeah, once Tib Core's online, that's not going to be a problem. The Hammerheads, if they go in now... Oh, I guess maybe not, because the Sam turret is there. So yeah, Hammerheads would just get suicided. We do have the Marv now out for Green Zero. And it's going to go from bad to worse now for Dimi. Because Green Zero does have the better late game. He has the Juggernauts. He has the Shockwave Artillery. He doesn't have to worry about stealth. Well, he wouldn't have to worry about stealth anyways if he was up against Nod, because look how many Pitbulls he has. It's a really unorthodox thing, this, going for mass Pitbull. Like, I don't even think Unleashed would go for this many Pitbulls against Black Hand. Like, even Unleashed would transition by now. But Green Zero, he's quite reliant on this force, and if he loses it, you know, he's going to be in deep trouble. He's not going to have anything to deal with Green Zero's Marv, though he is doing quite well here. He's not losing too many of his Pitbulls. Rage does go off. Did his army get affected? No, it looks like he managed to skim that barely. Hammerheads have made their way in the base. He's going to take out some of these power plants. He's going to get cornered though, however. Oh my god, this is going to be bad. He could lose all of his Hammerheads here for nothing. Dimi, he's not microing. He's going to let them escape. That was his perfect chance to kill those. But yeah, Green Zero, quite fortunate there to not have lost those. He does have his Marv idle. Not sure why he could have sent that in the base here. And imagine Dimi is floating a fair few funds. And for Black Hand, for picking Black Hand, he hasn't really used Black Hand's advantages at all. Besides the particle beams, he hasn't really taken advantage of Black Hand's special traits. And, you know, the advantages of going for Black Hand, which is flame tanks, if you're flame rushing, or if you're going for blue flame, infantry. He's not really done any of that. His tactic would have been much better if he had gone for Nod. He could have stealthed his Redeemer for one. And, you know, Nod infantry are better, in my opinion, versus GDI in the late game, because they do have Redemption, which does revive their militants as awakened squads, which are much more useful in the late game, because you can just use those to empt the enemy Marv and things like that. So, yeah, he's over here with the Redeemer. It is a flame tank, though, so remember that. It is garrisoned up with that Black Hand squad, so it will be good versus structures. He is onto it, though, Green Zero. He's moving in with his army. He needs to watch his Redeemer, though, because he doesn't have anything to support it with. He did use the decoy, so he can see this base potentially for another one click. If he's floating funds, he can probably go for a Temple of Nod and use the counter computer measures to counter the Shockwave Artillery, which is almost certainly going to be a thing versus Redeemer. He could probably escape death with that. Very annoying when it happens to you. I think Dimi now needs to go for Spectres. I think he needs to ditch infantry because there's too many Hammerheads out on the field. Well, actually 6 in total, so that's not too bad. There is no scratch there. He does have the mortar upgrades, so not sure how beneficial that'll be in an engagement versus Bike Buggy, which moves super fast, but infantry is out in the field. It's a bit late, this transition. He should have done this ages ago, but he's going to move in here. It looks like Green Zero, he doesn't have enough forces to deal with that. The Pitbulls are going to move in. They're going to deal with these Bike Buggies. Oh my god, those buggies, they do tank a lot of damage. He's going to retain his army alive for now. And now the Pitbulls, he is still continuing to spam them. I'm not sure why. I mean, this is just a waste of funds at this point. He needs to go for more Juggernauts, more Hammerheads. I think that's really the way forward at this point. He's not going to have to. He's not going to have enough funds to deal with this mass infantry force. Pit bulls are not the answer. Does the chemical plant still remain? Yes, it does. He's going to have to be careful if he doesn't want to go in the tib field with his pit bulls. If Dimi spots a glimpse of those in there, he's going to be glad to see that. He's probably just going to use his tib bane and just, you know, see you later to those pit bulls. Here comes the radar buggy to scout for the one click potentially. He's not going to use the tib, vapor bomb, because obviously there's too many pit bulls here. The jet would just get intercepted. And we do have somewhat of a stalemate here. Dimi, he's trying to find a gap. Not sure where he's going. He's moving back with his infantry. He could probably sell up some of these structures. They are pretty good, the units that he gets for drafting. He gets the particle beams on his cabals and also the Black Disciple. But yeah, Dimi, he sees this as an opportunity now to just go into the backside of Green Zero's base. He can just EMP that Marv, you know. He has enough buggies there to EMP the Marvs and the Juggernauts easily, but instead he's decided to move back. I think Dimi's not making the best plays here. He had the chance there to win the game. Instead he's focused on killing these pit bulls, which, I mean, there's always that as well. But I think Green Zero would rather see this pit bull force die than his Marv and Juggernauts. So yeah, that Redeemer's not going to be over here now. In fact, what's that? It's just a Black Hand Squad. Okay, Dimi finally using the EMP of his bike buggy, and yeah, Green Zero, oh my god, he's losing too many of his forces here. And again, like that first game, I just feel that he's making too many pit bulls. He's not transitioning away from this. And 1 minute, Dimi's army is over here, and the next is over there. I'm not sure what he's doing. Nevertheless, he is over here now, and Green Zero, I just feel that he needs to switch up his tactics if he is to win versus Dimitery. Mass pit bulls just not cutting it for him. I guess one game in a series will be fine, but doing it over and over, you're just going to become predictable then. And Dimi, he's making the right plays, going for bike buggy with tib core, going for infantry. Pit bulls not really the answer to that unless you do what I said that Technique did, which was to, you know, space your pit bulls out with the line formation just so they don't all die in one volley. And he's going to be forced back with the hammerheads. He does have his Marv still around, not sure where it is. Typically this is a really campy map, but these guys, they're not really content on camping, I guess because it's a tournament grand final and there's a lot of beef between these two players. So what you'd normally see in a final on this map is not really happening here. Both guys are pretty aggressive, I'd say. And pit bulls, not really a unit you'd see on this map. Typically, pit bulls are good on maps where there's plenty of blue tib and contested spikes, just so you retain those assets on a map. But with only one blue field that's partially full, I wouldn't say it's warranted going for this strategy here with the lightly armored units. I'd just go for mass Marov tanks and such. Play the camp game, that's almost certainly going to be better. And Dimi, he may be pushing a bit too far forward here, though the rage will probably cause catastrophic damage. The jugs are too close to that Marv. And Dimi using the C-Tiberium, that's another advantage that Black Nods and Skrins have over GDI. They can grow Tiberium, they can summon in Tiberium via support powers, unlike GDI where they have none of that. So that's perhaps a minor imbalance between the Nods and the GDIs, and that Nod do have that C-Tiberium ability. And I'd say their units are closely balanced to GDI ones, with maybe the exception of Hammerheads being a little better than what Black Hand can produce. But yeah, Dimi gonna overwhelm this force here. There's just simply too much bike buggy. They're gonna go down. And the hammer is having a poke see in here. They're going to find some infantry. The bike buggy weren't there, so maybe he could have sacked some of the hammerheads, killed those infantry. But it does keep the bike buggy at bay for now, though it looks like Dimi's going to find that there's nothing really in the base here. His flame tank has spotted this. He's going to take a swipe at the MCV, and Dimi going to do a very surgical victory versus a Green Zero, I'd imagine right now, though it looks like he's continuing to push back. Maybe he's not 100% confident about the odds that he has, but I'd say that he has a pretty good chance of closing the game off right now with that many bike buggy. just one EMP on this force, and that's all it takes for him to win. But yeah, Hammerheads, they're going to take all these out here. And Green Zero, he's hanging on though, by a thread, I'd say. Pitbulls, they're going to hold back these off for now. The chemical plant is still around. I guess Dimi wants to retain that just so he doesn't have to build it again. And his C-Tiberium is halfway done. He's floating some money. Can't say the same for Green Zero. Because Dimi has map control, he does have the blue Tiberium, which is also another big deal. And for these reasons, I don't think it matters if he's not cost effective. He's just going to win due to having the C-Tiberium and also the blue Tiberium. But yeah, he's made a Mantis, which is surprising. I mean, he has enough Bike Buggy to fend off versus Hammerheads. I feel if he just goes for Bike Buggy, that's going to be better overall, because Mantis don't really serve a purpose besides kill Hammerheads. I do make them when I go for my blue flame strategy, but at this point in time, Bike Buggy with Tib Core is sufficient to deal with this. He doesn't need to overspend on Mantis at all. Unless Green Zero is going for Zone Heads, but in that case I'd just go for multi-MCV, because Zone Heads, when kited amazingly, which Green Zero has demonstrated in the past, which can be done even versus Tib Core bikes. They can kite pretty much anything, and at that point you need to go for multi-MCV as Black Hand to deal with him. But yeah, both guys here, they don't really want to engage one another. It looks like Green Zero, as in that first game, is just holding on. Dimi, he doesn't want to engage just yet. And the Marv is... oh my god, that was pretty bad. Dimi, he's forced back. He needs to go for Spectres, I feel. Spectres would be pretty good versus Green Zero's slow army. He only has a handful of Pitbulls. Granted, he does have Hammerhead, so maybe Bike Buggy does make sense at this point in time. And the way things are going, I'd say that Green Zero is going to go down in this game unless Demi really messes up this fight. Green Zero doesn't have a ref on his field though. It doesn't really matter because the field has no Tiberium on it. His harvesters are glitching out. Green Zero, as you saw in that series I played versus him on Galaxy, I had all the map. I had way more resources, but Green Zero, he won, or almost won, because I underestimated those zone heads. But yeah, they're not going to be a thing versus all this anti-air here. Look at all these Bike Buggies. They're not going to... Dimi's not going to be falling to the same fate here. He's got his Redeemer still. He's not sure what he's doing with it. He's trying to do as much damage as he can. He doesn't want to waste his army. I mean, anybody here that wastes their army is going to lose the game. There's just no way to recover. Mind you, if Dimi does lose his army, he could probably sell his Tech Lab, his Seed, his Tiberium Chemical Plant as well, and just spam Bike Buggy. Once Black Hand have their upgrades, you don't really need to keep your tech anymore. And yeah, he's quite smart there, leaving some Mantis where the infantry is, so he's just going to kill those Hammerheads right now if he's paying attention. But yeah, Pitbulls, they can do a decent job also with the mortar upgrade, and he's going to clean up that force there. Dimi, he has Bike Buggy, he has his Redeemer. Once again, the Juggernaut's going down, but he's not cleaning up the Husk Man, so despite that rage continuing to go off, he's not actually killing the Husk, so they're just going to get recaptured over and over. The Hammerheads are still alive, but look at all that Bike Buggy, man. There's just nothing you can do versus that. He's going to kill the MCV. There's nothing to stop that. He has Pitbulls. And I think that Green Zero needs to get a snipe on this Redeemer if he is to win this game or really get back in it. I assume he just sold that off because he needs as much funds as he can possibly get. Tiberium field regrowing here. Speaking of regrowing, Dimi could probably put these harvesters on a stop command so they don't harvest these seedlings or on the tib field. If you let the tib fields grow, you will get more resources over time. The tib field does grow, and if you just leave it to grow, you will get way more. So that's something that he could definitely consider. Here is the Redeemer. Oh my god, that Marth can't be ordered, so yeah, he's just going to EMP it now. And what is he doing? He's not controlling. Oh my god. He's not going to matter. There's just too many buggies here. He almost caked that as well. But wow, why is he retreating? Dimi's retreating. There was no need for that. He had the game. His Redeemer is not on low health. He could have just engaged that. He impeded the mob again. He's going to instead come up to the top. And Green Zero probably can't believe his luck right now. He's still in the game. And yeah, Dimi, I feel that he's just... I don't know what's up with him. He's just not making any decisive plays here. He's keeps reconsidering his options. He's going to go back. He needs to make something happen though. Though I don't suppose he's in a rush to anymore, because he does have 3 fields secured and the blue fields. So yeah, he's just going to draw this one out a little longer, but it's not going to matter. Green Zero, he's going to do the honors. He's going to press escape and, you know, quit game. He's going to lose that one, and that's going to be 2-0. So Dimi, he's off to a blazing start in this best of 7 series versus Green Zero. And you can tell that Green Zero is rusty though. Those are the strategies that Green Zero did in tournaments since forever, and it's very telling that it's Green Zero because it's just mass pitbulls. The only other guy in the game who had a tendency of doing that was Unleashed, but yeah, not to that extent, man. That's just crazy. Versus Infantry, even, you want to transition to Hammerheads and APCs. I just feel that Green Zero is not playing GDI as you should play GDI, and yeah, he's gonna... It just feels like he has a bit of tunnel vision right now, continuing to go for the same strategies over and over, but can he bring it back in game number 3? Stay tuned and find out. Alright guys, game number 3, which brings us on to Tournament Highlands. And once again, Green Zero picks this map. Of all the maps that Green Zero likes to play, I think that Small Town USA was one of them that I think he was probably better on. I mean, he liked that map more than these maps, so I'm surprised he's not picking those ones. But nevertheless, it is versus Black Kane, so I guess he feels that Black Kane are just lame on small maps, which they are, to be fair. Anyways, he's going to be down 2-0 in this series. He's going to be over here playing as a green GDI once again. Can he switch it up, and can he do anything else besides Mass Pitbull? Well, Dimitery over here as the red faction. Unfortunately, that's going to be more editing for me and my scoreboard, but yep, it is what it is. He's going to be Black Hand. He's going to be drafting those Cabals. He knows exactly what he's up against. He's going to be feeling quite confident about this series so far. Getting that nice 2-0 lead so far. It is best of 7 though. Anything can happen. And Green Zero, he will be feeling the pressure, especially since he doesn't like losing to Dimitery. It has been years since these guys have faced one another, so you can tell that they don't really know each other's playstyles. They're just playing stock standard builds. Though Green Zero does probably know what to expect now. He's not going to go for pitballs, I feel, as it didn't work before. I mean, a few pitballs is fine, but going for nothing but pitballs, that's just asking for trouble, especially versus Black Kane when they have certainly enough ways of dealing with pitballs. They have particle beam shredder turrets, they have infantry, they have flame tanks even. I mean, if you don't look, a flame tank can kill a pitbull almost in seconds. And of course they have infantry, and bike buggy even is good. Scorpion tanks even. So pitballs just don't make much sense versus Black Kane. In the early game, sure, to retain map control, to see if your opponent's going for the blue Tiberium, yeah, that's a good idea. But once you've gone to the mid game and late game, I feel that GDI has better options to choose from. He's going to get a scout off here. Dimi's not going to play anything risky. He's not rushed a single time in this series. And Green Zero doesn't have anything up his sleeve either. He's instead just going to go for eco. So yeah, both guys, they're going to play pretty standard. Green Zero right here. He's going to go 5 and 2, likewise for Dimi. And Tournament Highlands is the map. This map was remade from Tournament Badlands, which in my opinion, I felt that was a slightly better map because it was smaller. It just felt like a smaller map as well. And I just feel that this one's a bit too large in my opinion. I think this field does regrow as well. I'm pretty sure it gets to a larger size than this. As you can, yeah, it is growing actually. I didn't notice that until now. This field doesn't start off full. Usually it's the blue Tiberium fields that are slow growing at the start. As you can see, these ones here are growing. This is the only map in the game which has 2 blue fields which grow at the same time in a 1v1 map, and it is an interesting design. It's one of those maps which stands out more from the others because it does have those 2 blue Tiberium fields on them. Not only that, but there is 2 spikes per player on this map, as well as there's no EMP structures though, no other neutral structures to garrison. So yeah, not that you're going to see mutant hovels ever in a competitive game, but a lot of 1v1 maps do have mutant hovels on them. Not sure exactly if they're any good in any circumstance, but yeah, they're a bit like Cabals, but they just shoot air as well. And they used to take tib exposure as well, which was really funny. CGF had to patch that because they took tib exposure despite being mutants, which supposedly would have evolved to, you know, be immune to that sort of thing. But Green Zero, he's still doing the same thing as he did before. He's going for pit bulls, 2 war factory pit spam, and it just seems like a repeat from the last game. Dimi's content with going for bike buggy as well. The sooner that Green Zero transitions from this though, the better it is going to be for him, because Dimi's just going to expect the same move from Green Zero. He's just going to go for mass bike buggy. He knows that this counters it, Green Zero. He's not been controlling his forces very well either. That could probably be attributed to his mouse choice as well. Hashtag G502brick. But yeah, he's going to probably take up to tier 3. Get a catalyst missile down, and on this map it's even more lethal to get caught on a tib field versus Black Hand, because look at all those tib fields, especially this large one here. Like you could probably click this entire middle of the map once this field fully grows. I'm actually curious to see just how much this field grows to. Does it grow to here? Who knows? Most of us just expand to it at the 5 or 6 minute mark, so we don't know. But I'm guessing it doesn't get way out of control. But yeah, whoever gets control of this middle of the green field is pretty much the winner. That's the winning condition on this map, unless you somehow secure all the spikes on the map and take the blue fields and do a successful 2 base all-in. Which, I mean, can work, but it is quite rare on this map. Here's Green Zero with his pit bulls. You're going to find a harvester here. But if he decides to take this one out, he's going to be expending all of his pit bulls, because that harvester is soaking that damage up. And speaking of soaking damage up, decoy army has been used. The harvester does live, so yeah, that couldn't have gone any better for Dimi. He probably would want to refrain from engaging this until he has the tib core upgrade. He is halfway done on that almost, and yeah, Green Zero, he's gonna go into pit bulls still. I would have gone for Mammoth tanks, me personally, or even Predator tanks. Triple War Factory Pred in this spot. Yeah, that's going to be a lot better. But who am I to say I'm not playing? It's going to be Green Zero here making the calls, not me. And neither one of these guys has been able to take this blue Tiberium field there. We just did see Dimi take a full load, but yeah, struggling to... I guess both sides aren't willing to take the risk, considering how there's so much tier 1 lightly armored units out on the field. They're going to be roaming across the map freely. And one thing about these guys is they haven't been splitting off their units. Like, I'm someone who loves to split units off, and yeah, Green Zero, he's not making enough of an effort at maybe even abusing Dimi's ability to multitask in multiple fronts. He doesn't know how good Dimi is in that situation. I'd test the waters, see just how it is. Not saying that Dimi is like that, but if you're in a tournament and you're unfamiliar with your opponent, it makes sense to, you know, experiment a bit just to see what your opponent is weak at. There's no one that's perfect in this game. Even Bycrush has his weaknesses. Muggy here, presumably for scouting for a 1-click. And speaking of 1-click, Dimi does have the chemical plant once again. He's been doing the same strategy every game. Can't blame him, it has been working for him. And it is a tournament. It's not about making the best series to watch, it's about winning. And these guys just seem quite content on spamming a bike buggy versus pit bulls, and that is something that I can't see winning if you do it versus a player such as Bycrush. It just would not work. You really have to transition from this eventually. But yeah, as Green Zero is not spreading out his Pipbles, yeah, he's going to take nothing but huge splash damage on his army. Marv is out a little sooner this time. Likewise for Dimi, who has his Redeemer out. Now, Green Zero, I'd say, in this game is in a little better position than he was last time. And Dimi's probably going to go for his upgrades now. Green Zero can hold this off if he gets the refinery out. He's going to use the Marv to Marvis this field. Okay, so that's going to help him quite a lot. Oh my god, Pitbull's getting torn to shreds here. Oh my god, that is bad. Green Zero, look at all those Pitbulls that just went down. Oh my god. Rage Gen goes off, loses a number of his Pitbulls as well after that. Oh my god, that is just totally unnecessary. Green Zero getting caught by bad pathing. And the EMP cause has not been researched by Dimi, so he can't really EMP that map just yet. He may realize soon. He's going to need EMP versus this. Green Zero could call in the sharpshooters, though there is a number of buggies on the field, so yeah, probably not going to be as good. What does he do here? I mean, he needs AP ammo. He hasn't got it. He hasn't seen any infantry, but yeah, he's going to go for it now. He can take out this barracks real quick. There's a lot of infantry in this field, not much anti-infantry to speak of. Dimi has an opportunity to push while that is not online. The Marv, though, can deal with the infantry quite nicely, though, with that triple-barreled gun that it has. The only thing that won't die, though, is the Black Disciple, so... But it will tank the damage. This infantry is not going to be afraid. He's going to have the upgrade online soon. Blue Tiberium field is regrowing, and Green Zero, as we saw earlier, did get a number of tanks full of Tiberium, and yeah, he's just going to pull in a load of cash. He does have Tib Core. He's built a wall of watchtowers. I feel that Dimi needs some form of artillery. I think maybe a Tib Vein here would be good if he gets all the Pitbulls on the Tib field. I think that's what he's going to bank on here. If he gets all the watchtowers and the Pitbulls, maybe he can push and make something happen. But it's going to be difficult, though. He does have the Spectres, so yeah, Dimi making the right calls here, going for artillery. Looks like Green Zero is avoiding the Tib fields. He can instead roam around the back, though Dimi is prepared for it. He could probably just let the Pitbulls go into the Tib field and, you know, nuke them all there. He could probably charge this obelisk up too if he gets a couple beam cannons to destroy the watchtowers and to buff the obelisk. It does grant the obelisk more range and more fire rate, so that's something that you could do. He's moving in to defend versus those Pitbulls, but he's never going to chase them with infantry. Let's forget it. That's not going to happen. For Spectres, not sure why they're glitching out. They are black hand ones. They don't stealth. And that's a pretty good start to this engagement, to be honest. He does kill 2 Juggernauts straight away. The bike buggy is still alive. Where are the Pitbulls right now? If the Pitbulls flank these units, that is going to be pretty good. And the Spectre's getting dangerously close. Does he have the EMP upgrade? No, he doesn't. He didn't even get the EMP coils. He can't even EMP the Marv. That's unfortunate, man. Like, you could have just EMP'd that there. Though, speaking of EMP, Green Zero does have the shockwave artillery. But yeah, Dimi, did you notice his mistake? Yeah, he did. Oh my god, he forgot his upgrade. Pitbulls, they're going to march into the back of the base. And I just feel that Green Zero is in an unstoppable position now. He has Juggernauts, he has watchtowers. Preferably he should get hammerheads, set off all these watchtowers, put an airfield down, get some hammerheads out, or maybe even call in the sharpshooters. That would be pretty good. Redeemer going to get focused down. He's not going to use the shockwave. Another ability that is good versus Spectres is the orbital strike. You can use that on the Spectres. Orbital strike typically really bad because it takes a while for the actual damage to happen, but for the projectiles to land. But these Spectres, they remain deployed for a while, so it's one of the rare times where the orbital strike is pretty good. And Spectres getting dangerously close to this Marv. He may end up losing these here. He probably has a few support powers in mind. You can see that this missile silo here is ready. That means the shockwave artillery is ready to go. It's one of the only building in Kane's Raft where you can visually see when an upgrade or a unit or when a support power is ready to go. There's no other building besides super weapons where that is the case. Like you can see when a ion cannon or Temple of Nod is ready to fire its super weapon, but no other support power in the game has that besides this. And I wonder if it's the same for this as well. I think that's the orbital strike, correct me if I'm wrong on that, but yeah. A lot of specters on the field for Dimitery. He may want to spread his fire between these juggernauts here. Focus firing is going to be of the essence. He's not doing a good job though. Bike buggy roaming across the map, and yeah, Green Zero, if he holds longer, he's going to be in an even better position because he is harvesting. Dimi, he's starved out of funds. He did get some blue tip though. He's just basically getting scraps at this point. He's not even trying to long range mine this. I guess he feels he's going to lose all of his harvesters to the jugs, which he would do. He needs to make something happen with these specters right now. He has a number of them. He's got EMP buggies too. This game's not over. But again, he's just allowing Green Zero to retake these husks back. And I mean, if he gets all these jugs clumped up, maybe he can make something happen. He's moving back. He can probably send the buggies forward, EMP the jugs, and then shell them with the specters. But at this point, Dimi's playing from the back foot. He has managed to fort Green Zero's Pitbull army out. So yeah, he now has the control of the map. He can probably roam into the back of the base, kill Green Zero's infrastructure. Green Zero probably is working on a Sonic Army. He does have a number of hammerheads. Well, I didn't notice those hammerheads. Are they really the units you want to see when you're up against this many bike buggy? Is he going to engage this? Is he just going to engage it? I have never seen anybody like head-on engage a Tibcore bike army with hammerheads. I guess it is possible if you have a critical mass of them, but yeah, not something I advise personally. I have to give it to Dimi. He's playing pretty well here. His control with his specters, he's not losing any of them. His bike buggy army though is out of position. He's losing all of his infantry to the hammerheads. Hammerheads getting a lot of kills there. And the Marv is going to just sit back here for the moment. He does have his shockwave still. He's still waiting for the ideal shockwave. Dimi, he's lost all of his infantry. That could be the decisive blow. He really needs to keep all of his units alive, considering how he has no form of income right now. He doesn't have any spikes either. So Green Zero, he's in a commanding position in this game. I don't think he's going to lose it, but let's see what happens. Dimi does have his epic unit. He has all the units he needs, but yeah, the more hammerheads that Green Zero produces, the more unlikely it is going to be for Dimi to win. And here comes the specters. Oh my god, Green Zero, he's losing all of his juggernauts. Unfortunate. He's also moving his bike buggy out of position. Where is he going? Dimi's micro. Me just praising it there, and look what happened. He just moved his bike buggy away from the hammerheads. He needs to be on those hammerheads at all times. There's just so many of them. He needs to be in position with his bike buggy, and that's one thing that Technique used to complain about all the time, is that bike buggy are not that good on large maps versus hammerheads, just because the hammerheads can maneuver around so much easier, and they can on maps like Tournament Decision, the terrain also gives them a huge advantage because you can just bypass the bike buggy and, you know, traverse terrain that the bike buggy can't easily. So yeah, the Redeemer, oh, is he going to decide to shockwave this? He may do. Bike buggy moving in to position once again. May want to get some more buggies. He has a number of them there. Can he win this game with what he has? Does he have his chemical plant still? No, he doesn't. That's one of the first things you'd sell anyways if you're struggling for funds. And now it's Green Zero who is just going to take this one slow. He doesn't want to lose this game. He knows that he has it wrapped up at this point. He just needs to stay put. He does have quite a lot of Tiberium on his second field. He can probably transfer a number of his harvesters there right now. He's got a few of them harvesting dead bits of Tiberium. And Dimi once again going to fort those back, those pit bulls. Green Zero again stacking those pit bulls up. And Spectres here. Green Zero needs to be careful. Once that Redeemer rages the Marv, he can order it, so the buggies would just be then to freely imp it. And that could be all that Dimi needs to get himself in a decent positioning in this game. Having an epic unit over your opponent is definitely a huge advantage. And the pit bulls are going to come back in here. And Green Zero is just going to poke in and poke out, but I'm not sure how that's going to go this time. I think Dimi's just fed up with these pit bulls. He's just going to take them all out. That will give the Hammerheads a window of opportunity now, seeing how the pit bulls are way out of position to go in and kill the Spectres. Is he going to do that right now? No. Dimi, he's going to pull back. Did Green Zero manage to salvage any of his pit bulls? Yeah, he does have a big group of them still alive. Hammerheads. Going to clean up these harvesters though. I'm not sure if they're going to be of any use now. Anyways, the Tiberium is almost non-existent here, and there is literally too many harvesters for Dimi. So one thing that we saw him do in that second game was retain his chemical plant, so he could endlessly use that sea Tiberium ability. But this game he decided not to do that. In this position now, if he gets a good engagement and somehow beats Green Zero's army, Green Zero is not going to enjoy that Tiberium advantage that he had before. Assuming he doesn't realize that there is Tib on this field, which looks like he probably is unintentionally harvesting that field, so may want to consider that now. Transfer his harvesters to that field. Be a bit more proactive. I'd go for tier 1 on the ground right now. Get some APCs and Predator tanks out. Maybe even upgrade railguns. Did he sell his tech center off? No, he didn't. I just feel that GDI armor is much better suited to deal with this here. Infantry too, like if you get a ball of infantry, they're going to be pretty good. Even better than versus Nod, I think, because Nod can use the cloaking field. I played a guy yesterday and he just cloaked all my infantry, and I realized, wow, if I had done that versus Black Hand, obviously he would have had the particle beam shredders, but he wouldn't have just killed my army with a support power. So there is always that. But Green Zero, he's just poking in and out with the Hammerheads. He has a number of them on the field. Does he still continue to produce them? No, he's not. He's making pit bulls. He's still just going to mass pit bull versus this army. Dimi, he's managed to retain. He's managed to do pretty good here, surviving this long in this game. But yeah, he's going to get slowly worked on now. Harvesters are getting destroyed, trying to reach this field. Because this base is destroyed, there's going to be no build radius for Dimi to place down those SAM turrets. And he's way out of position, as you can see, completely out of position. And gun damage doesn't do very much to the Redeemer. He does have a few Juggernauts back here. He can probably push in with his army. He does have his Space Command uplink. So he can just push in and just win this, I think. What's Dimi going to do? There's nothing he can really do. He can try and take this tip field, but yeah, the moment he does, he's going to get his harvesters destroyed by those Hammerheads once again. And I feel this Hammerhead force, I mean, it would lose to this buggy force, but it would probably reduce it to a point where it's not even threatening anymore. And I think Green Zero could probably lose this and still be alright. So yeah, I feel that he can just engage now and win. He's going to move out now, finally transferring his harvester to this field. And he's going to get a shockwave artillery down on this Redeemer. Wait until his Juggernauts are in position. It'll be a pretty good shockwave here, getting both the SAM turret and the Redeemer. But no, he's not doing that actually. He's going to push back. Again, I'm not sure why he's not doing that. Shockwave. Maybe he's afraid of the raise gen. Oh my god, that's going to be pretty nasty. A raise gen there. Oh, what? My god, that was pretty painful to watch. But yeah, I mean, Green Zero, he's probably thinking, wow, it's like 3 AM in the morning for me. I need to push out now. But both of these guys are situated in Australia, so they are both playing more or less the same time zone. So for both of them, it's rather fair. So if you see any like mistakes or suboptimal plays, because they're playing a lot later in or a lot earlier in the morning, just depending how you look at it. Redeemer gets dispatched pretty swiftly. And the bike buggy are not going to be a threat. And that is going to be GG. There's no way that Dimi is going to hold any longer. But yeah, nice resilience though from Dimi. He waited for Green Zero to make a mistake, but Green Zero didn't. And he sealed that game pretty convincingly. He had a pretty sizable resource discrepancy over Dimitery as well. A sizable one. How much did he get over Dimi? About almost double the resources. Green Zero had the better kill death ratio. That's to be expected because he was up against infantry, and infantry of Black Cat are very spammable and cheap. Green Zero though, he made too many pitballs again. Could have been an easier game to wrap up, but yeah, that is going to be it. He's going to get himself back into this series. If he was down 3-0, that would have been disastrous for him in a best of 7. But yeah, I do think it's a best of 7 anyways. Correct? I mean, it should be because it's a grand final, right? All the grand finals I've ever played have been best of 7s, but yeah, it's going to be embarrassing if I find out it's a best of 5 and I haven't been saying it right this whole time. But yeah, that's going to be GG.